This is Andy Perroff, Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and it's a privilege to be joined by a legend of the boxing world, the last undisputed heavyweight world champion, Lennox Lewis, in the morning after the big fight. Lennox, what was your thoughts on Wilder Ortiz 2?
Amazing fight. A lot of people were saying that, Ortiz was leading on all cards. And, I was saying, well, a fight is 12 rounds. You may be leading the first half of the fight, but there's still the second half of the fight to go.
As the rounds were progressing, what was going through your minds with regards to the lack of punches Deontay was throwing? Was you just assured in your own mind that he was just kind of trying to eye up the right time to throw that destructive right hand that he has?
Yeah, I think he actually did the right thing. He could have been a little bit busier, but it really doesn't matter as long as the end result is what he wanted.
How much credit does Luis Ortiz himself deserve for the performance he gave up until the point of the stoppage?
Oh yeah, well now the world can actually see. He's the boogeyman. People were staying away from him for such a long time because he's a good boxer, because he's a southpaw. And, I have to take off my hat to Deontay for actually giving him another chance because, Ortiz is not getting any younger. And, he boxed him at the right time.
I mean, with a performance like that as well in mind, you've just mentioned he's a boogeyman. He's been avoided in the division for many years until Deontay presented him with two chances at his world title. Do you feel with that performance it's kind of going to deter the other leading contenders in the division from wanting to face him?
No, I think everybody wants to, be king of the hill type of thing. So if they don't want to fight the best people up there, then they don't get the respect.
Just back to Deontay as well, what are your thoughts on his power? A lot of people are saying that he's one of the strongest heavyweights with regards to power that's ever been. Do you see it like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's got definitely a crushing right hand, and he's knocked out many people, highest percentile on knockouts right now. And, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to play with your opponent. Try and get rid of him as fast as possible, and he's got a knack for doing that.
I know you can't compare his power to the heavyweights of your era, but just because you obviously haven't faced Deontay, but just in your own opinion, where would you rank his power amongst the guys of your era?
I don't cross eras. I can't tell you that. All I can say is, he's among the top of the eras.
Much of a statement as well is that for Deontay going into Wilder Fury 2, obviously lined up for next February.
Oh, big statement. You can't innate his power. You have to respect it and know that he's got an unbelievable right hand, and that's what he's been knocking everybody out with. For me, I look at myself. I'm 5-dimensional, so I can knock you out with an uppercut, a left hook, a right hand. So. That's what he needs to do. He needs to kind of switch it up because not everybody you can knock out with the right hand. If they know that's your prime weapon, they're going to be keeping their hands up for that.
We obviously saw Ben Davis and Tyson's trainer here throughout the fight week. If you're Ben, do you feel that you're coming away learning many things about Deontay or learning very little?
Well, he's going to learn the same thing he learned the last time. Obviously Deontay's got power. There's nothing else he can really learn. I mean, it's the same Deontay, but same with power. Maybe he lacks a little of the boxing side, a pedigree. And, Tyson Fury and him, it will be an unbelievable fight. You got the boxer against the puncher. So who do you pick?
Obviously in their last bout, Deontay dropped Tyson twice. Do you think at all there may be a little psychological thing for Deontay to come over with regards to trying to think, how do I hit him harder to keep him down?
No, I mean, he's pretty accurate. And, I've seen Deontay kind of move up in his experience factor because, Deontay started late, so he's a late bloomer like me. And it's good to see that he's actually learning. At one time you could say that Deontay was, why does he throw those slapping shots? But you didn't really see that slapping shot in the last punch. That was a straight down the pipe punch. So, he's obviously focused on becoming better and throwing straighter shots, and you can see it in the fight yesterday.
When you consider the Wilder Fury rematch and you compare it to your rematches with Hasim Rahman or Evander Holyfield, are there any similarities or differences that you can see there?
Just different fights, you know. You fight different, these guys box differently, and you just have to prepare for them mentally and know what your game plan is ahead of time before you get in there. You know, Hasim Rahman, I knew couldn't outbox me. I knew he wasn't faster than me. I knew he wasn't stronger than me. I didn't get a chance to show that in the first fight, but I showed it in the second fight.
With Tyson, how exactly is Deontay the right antagonist to try and beat Tyson? Is his style the only type of fighter that could beat him with the power, or is there another way for Deontay to try and work out a game plan to deal with Tyson's qualities?
Well, you know, Tyson's kind of like a natural boxer, so he's got really good qualities in the boxing aspect. And, you know, but they basically came away from that particular fight realizing that, you know, Deontay had to learn how to box better, and then Tyson Fury maybe have to work on his power punches.
How would you have looked to have boxed Tyson Fury if you was ever in the ring with him in your prime? How would you have looked to have boxed against him?
That's a secret right now. I'm not telling anybody, but it would be a good fight.
Just on Wilder Fury 2, what is your thoughts? What's your breakdown of it ahead of February?
I think it's going to be an unbelievable fight. I think you got the boxer against the puncher, and that's a unique matchup. And, you know, some people are going to go for the power. Some people are going to go for the boxer. And I love those type of fights where nobody really knows, and it really comes down to the crunch. Who makes that vital mistake in the fight? Who doesn't?
No predictions.
No predictions at this point. But I would have to say, you know, right now, Deontay's looking good.
And moving forwards, I mentioned you're the last undisputed heavyweight world champion. What do you think the likelihood is that we will see another undisputed heavyweight champion in the coming year or 2 years?
Well, I hope we see another undisputed champion pretty soon. I think you could say everything's heading towards that. You know, pretty soon Deontay is going to run out of opponents, and then he's going to be crowned the undisputed. So maybe, you know, if everything goes his way.
What do you think it is that it's been so much more difficult from your era and before to kind of try and make these fights, to make people engineer people towards those undisputed title fights?
Well, you know, in the beginning, you know, I couldn't understand why the big fights couldn't happen. And I was thinking, well, maybe, you know, these young heavyweights, they just want to go out and make a little money first before really taking that big chance. And I don't blame them. You know, this is a sport where you make one mistake and that's it. You know, it's a matter of history. So, you know, they're making business moves. You know, for me, I didn't really think that people are gonna remember how much money I make. They're gonna think of what I've accomplished, and that's what I was really going for.
The heavyweight division's always been considered the glamour division of boxing. Do you feel that this is kind of a resurgence when you, again, I know you don't like to compare eras, but do you feel like it is getting back to those days of when you was boxing in amongst the guys that I've mentioned before, or when George Foreman in his era, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, every era deems different things. You know, this is the era of Tyson Fury, Deontay, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, and you know, right now those are the top boxers out there. And there's, you know, obviously there's other boxers that want to be on the top, and they're working pretty hard to try and make a statement as well.
Obviously, before I do let you go, because I know I've kept you long enough, you're a busy man, Lennox, and I know that.
Yeah.
We're in sunny Las Vegas. Well, sunny today, it hasn't been all week.
Yeah.
What are your plans for as long as you're out here?
Probably just I got a couple more interviews to do, chill out a little bit, go to a show, do some shopping, and then jump on the plane.
Where are you going to be heading off to?
Somewhere hot. I see you have your winter jacket, so it must be cold by where you're coming from, but I'm going to go somewhere where I don't need a winter jacket.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that UK weather anytime soon, Lennox.
Thank you.
Lennox, obviously, I appreciate your time. As I said, I know you're a busy man. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to speak to you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time in Vegas and wherever your life leads to next. So thanks for speaking to myself and Boxing Social.
All right, thanks for having me, and bless.
Thank you, Lennox.